Hey, everybody, welcome back to We Are the Batman. My name is Mike.
And this is Matthew.
And today we're doing another, what Matt has so lovingly dubbed the re-sequel, where we're going to take a movie that has a sequel and give it a new one. And last time we did Batman Forever. We just nixed Batman and Robin out of the universe, which is probably for the best, and gave Batman Forever a new sequel. This time we're doing the same with a Batman film of my choice. And I'm going with 1989's Batman, directed by Tim Burton. We're going to just nix Batman Returns out of the air, and we're going to give it a brand new sequel.
Now, do you, now that you've kind of said you're nixing Batman Returns, is that just in fun of this game? Or do you have, are you not a fan of that? Do you like it and this is just for fun? How do you feel about Batman Returns? Just real quick.
It's a little bit of both. It's not my favorite Batman movie out there. It's definitely not my least favorite, but it is one that when I do watch it, watch it again, I kind of scratch my head, just kind of like a lot of choices were made. Like you see something happen, you're just like, that was an active decision to do that. And it feels just a little overstuffed. So hopefully we can give something that and again, playing with house money here. So
yes.
Just having a little fun.
Okay. Well, then I'm asking you this question in that, well, I don't know why I'm being so verbose about it. I'm just thinking, like, you are 10 years younger than me or 15? I'm 48. How old are you?
Oh, God, I'm 33. I didn't realize I was that much younger than you.
Okay. So, yeah. So,
Natural.
with that, so yes, I am very much so. So that means you did not see this in the theater. You saw this later.
No, because Batman '89 came out the year I was born, so I
Don't
saw
do that.
Yeah. So it came out. Yeah, I saw it much later in life. Well, not much later in life. I was like 4, but.
So was it the first Batman movie you saw?
I honestly don't know what my first Batman was, because when I was growing up at the time, Batman the Animated Series was on TV, but there were still reruns of the Adam West Batman. The Adam West Batman movie was showing on syndication, and Batman '89 had existed for several years. And I remember Batman Returns coming out in theaters because they had the toys and stuff at McDonald's. So it's hard for me to say kind of where my first Batman was, but this was all kind of lumped in about the same time in my life.
Yeah, that makes sense, because you're right. Like, by the time you become, not to be weird, but like aware that this is a thing, he's everywhere. I mean, this first Batman movie does kind of bring him. I mean, he's always been in the zeitgeist, but this, like, now you've got the shirts, you've got the cartoon, you've got movies. So yeah, I can see that. Okay, no, it did dawn on me, like, no, he probably did not see this in the theater.
Nope. But you know what? I have always said that I was born in the wrong decade. That I very much am a child of the '80s. I'm a lover of the '80s, and Batman '89 is one of my favorite Batman movies.
Okay, so you're kind of like, so Michael Keaton is your Sean Connery James Bond. You grew up with him as Batman.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, every time I hear people tell me about all the backlash that Michael Keaton received for being cast as Batman, it just doesn't click with me, because I've always known him as Batman. My first exposure to Michael Keaton was as Batman. So to me, he's always been Batman. So when I hear people say, like, I can't believe everyone was so mad they picked Michael Keaton, it just doesn't make sense, because it's like, he's so good. And that's all I've ever known him as.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, see, I was a fan of his. So, like, Mr. Mom was in constant rotation at my house, as was Beetlejuice. So when they announced him as Batman, you just had that collective, like, huh?
Yeah.
Really? Are you sure?
And in retrospect, I get it, especially now that knowing things that I know now. Like, at one point they looked at Bill Murray for 89's Batman, which I can't even begin to wrap my head around that concept. But
No.
Obviously they were looking to take someone, I guess, in the comedy realm and transition them over to dark drama. It's a weird goal to have, but that's what they were going for.
I mean, take it or leave it as far as your feelings about what Tim Burton does with Batman in this franchise. His big thing that I can recall is he just felt like Michael Keaton seemed to be psychotic in his eyes, and you had to be partially psychotic to even dress up as a bat. And that was what drew him to casting Keaton. Because remember, Tim Burton directs him in Beetlejuice. So this is his next project, if memory serves correctly. So that's why he brings Keaton in, is he just felt like that was the quality he wanted from Bruce Wayne.
Well, it makes sense. Batman's nuts. I mean, I love Batman. Batman's crazy. He's insane. The things he does are not the actions of a well-adjusted human being, but that's kind of why we love him.
I mean, I would don't know about nuts. Maybe intense, focused.
He's nuts. He dresses like a bat.
Yeah, he's kind of crazy. So, but this is definitely your favorite of these first four, or favorite of all Batmans?
Of these first four, this is by far my favorite. Batman Returns and Batman Forever are both kind of on equal footing for me, where I'm like, they're fine. I wouldn't kick them out of bed for eating crackers. And Batman and Robin is an unmitigated disaster, but so it's a low bar, but also this movie is very good, not just when compared to the other three.
Well, and I do have to admit, because we, I've discussed it before. It was a couple of years ago when I was doing this other podcast. We rewatched a lot of these movies, so I had to go back and watch all four of these Batman movies, and it had been a long time since I'd watched this. And even though some of my personal issues with the film are still there, I was surprised that there was two things that really surprised me. Number one was just how damn charming Michael Keaton is as Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I cannot take that away from him. As a Bruce Wayne, as the way he pulls that off, he's amazing. But then, yeah, like, the things I have issue with aside, the movie is even. There's nothing in this movie that is total crap and over the top. Like, I have to, like, Batman Forever, though it's my favorite, it's because of the Batman stuff. But, Riddler and Two-Face are just ridiculous. And you don't have that in this. It is an even film. So, I mean, I can't knock you for liking it. I could knock the costume.
The costume is what it is. It's very much a product of its time.
Correct.
If we ever see this Flash movie make it to theaters in some way, shape, or form, I'm very curious to see the full, because I know they've done some redesigns to Michael Keaton's suit for his take on Batman in this movie. I'm curious to see what that actually is going to end up looking like. But again, that's if we ever even see it.
Oh, I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
We'll never see Ezra Miller as Flash or anything else ever again.
Honestly, God, I hope not.
But
be done.
But this isn't the Ezra Miller's an Idiot podcast. This is We Are the Batman. So, all right. So you like Keaton as Batman? I
do.
You love this movie.
I do.
What, like, aside from Keaton as Batman, who is kind of your favorite person in this movie? Do you go to Jack Nicholson? Do you like some of the other people?
In 89's Batman, I mean, it's a toss-up between Jack Nicholson's Joker is absolutely iconic. It's fantastic. And but also, I mean, Billy D. Williams' Harvey Dent is such stellar casting.
Yes.
And it's a pity that we didn't get more of him, which we're going to get into it in a bit here, is going to play into my take on the idea of a new sequel for Batman 1989.
Yes, I agree. I think this is where I think I don't want to say the crime of this movie, but one of my big problems with this movie is that by the time this movie comes out, all of the supporting cast of Batman have proven to be capable people. Batman Year One has already come out. Dark Knight has already come out as far as the comics concerned. So to kind of backseat Harvey Dent, Commissioner Gordon, all of these characters to just not bumbling idiots per se, but just guys who are not actively helping Batman was one of my biggest problems with the film. But at the same time, it doesn't matter what Billy D. Williams does, in the iconic words of the guy from Silicon Valley, that dude F's.
Yeah, no. And it's crazy to think about. I mean, he is always going to be the coolest guy in the room. It does not matter what is happening in that room. He will be the coolest guy in the room.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Even he was in a an episode of Modern Family, and even then, you're just like, oh yeah, he's awesome. Like he's just fantastic, no matter what he does.
It's delightful.
Yes. Now, do you have a favorite sequence, like a favorite thing in this movie? Like, is there a whole like? Are you a big fan of the Batmobile? You a fan of the fights? You a fan of some of the scenes? What is kind of that
So
thing that gets you?
so I love the design of the Tim Burton Batmobile. I think the Tim Burton Batmobile is just some chef's kiss production design for a Batmobile. I love the look of it, and I love the look of the Bat Cave. How it's very simple and simplistic. There was, and I don't have the name of who did it, but there's these independent game developers developed basically a Batman 1989 game, like proof of concept demo that was modeled similarly after the Arkham games, but all the aesthetic was based on the 89 Batman. And it looked flawless. And, obviously for copyright reasons and all that, it never became playable, but it was an interesting idea to see. And so I love the design of everything. But my favorite sequence in this movie has always been and always will be everything involving the museum and the subsequent car chase and fight that happens in the alleyway afterwards. That whole brick of minutes in this movie is it's just great Batman stuff. Everything from Joker and his gang, vandalizing the artwork, and Batman swooping in, saving her, doing the cool car chase and fighting the alley, to the, where does he get all those wonderful toys? I mean, there's so much good stuff in that chunk of time. It's always my favorite part of the movie to watch.
Yeah, there's letting Jack Nicholson in that moment, and just like, dude, just go do your thing. We're just gonna follow you, do it. Don't, I think that Bob is probably one of my favorite characters in the movie. Just no matter what Joker's down for, he's there next to him with
Bob
no
Gunn.
enthusiasm. Yeah.
Yeah. Gonna need a minute, fellas.
Yeah. But no, I think this is probably the best part of the movie is that scene. I have to agree that the Batmobile is beautiful. And yeah, no, I think you're right, dude. I think that's probably the highlight of the movie.
Yeah, man, there's so much good in this movie, but that chunk of minute, I think it's like maybe like 7 minutes of the movie total, is just it's just flawless.
Yes, I think my favorite part of that whole bit is when he asks her, "How much do you weigh?" 108.
You definitely weigh more than 108 pounds.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah. The whole like I'm trying to math here, lady. I need honesty. Yeah, I personally, as much as, like I said, I don't hate this movie per se, but like, no, I'm Batman moment beats the one in this movie.
Oh, that whole opening exchange with him and the two muggers, where they give you kind of the fake out where you think you're about to see the murder of Thomas and Martha Wayne, but you find out it's just kind of it's an homage to it. And yeah, that I'm Batman. It's so like the Christian Bale's is fine, but yeah, this where he's just like, you're going to tell everyone about me. Who are you? I'm Batman.
Oh man,
something in the delivery.
But you're being nice. I think Christopher Nolan one's crap.
Oh, get out! Shut up!
I hate
you. Shut your face.
I mean, I like that scene. I just really wish it wasn't he's crouched on top of a car telling it to. I just kind of felt like, man, it would have been cool if he had said that to one of the guys, like maybe hung up. I don't know. I just thought that was not quite what it needed to be. But at the same time, that movie's great. So what am I really crying about?
Yeah, seriously. Seriously, what are you crying about?
Yeah. All right. So with this movie, we're going to get rid of, as we said before, we're going to get rid of Batman Returns. Now, are you scorch earth and redoing everything? Because I think that's what you implied earlier. Or are you keeping anything?
So I'm keeping the principal cast minus basically anybody who survived 89's Batman is making it into this one. If they died, obviously they're dead. But if they survived the end of 89's Batman, I'm bringing them back for the sequel.
Okay. So that means everybody, especially Harvey Dent. Am I right?
That is correct.
All right. So do you want me to predict, or do you want me to let you roll with what your sequel is going to be?
What predictions do you have, Matt? What do you got?
I just the fact that you talked about Billy D. Williams, I figure like this is going to be the origin of Two-Face.
You know, maybe. Maybe.
You know, and you're not wrong. I mean, I give you a little bit that Harvey Dent isn't in Batman Returns because of what's happening, but the fact that he didn't come back for the third one, maybe he read the script and was like, "No, I don't want to work with Jim Carrey." But who knows? But go ahead. Did you? What's the storyline? Give me the story.
All right. So we're picking up, because Batman Returns came out in '92, so 3 years later.
So I want to keep folks. There used to be 3 years between comic movies, not 4 months.
Yeah. So I want to keep it. I want to keep that time frame still. So I want it to be the 3 years since Batman '89. And basically, there's been a kind of with Joker being gone, and by that Carl Grissom as well, who Jack Palance played in '89. There's basically a power vacuum in Gotham City for the last 3 years, and all these gangs keep trying to rise up, and we're gonna actually see where it's, because it's teased in Batman Forever. I want to have the Sal Maroni case going on. We actually had in Batman Forever, we briefly see this weird news footage of Batman in the courthouse when Maroni throws the acid on Harvey Dent's face.
Yes.
I want to have that trial, and I want to find a way to make Batman being there make sense. So I'm bringing back Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent. I'm bringing back Michael Keaton as Batman. I'm even bringing back Kim Basinger as Vicky Vale. I'm actually going to have her have something to do in this movie.
That would be good.
And namely, what that's going to be is that her and Bruce's relationship is tumultuous, to say the least, but she's kind of doing one of two things. One is she's kind of letting him know, she's kind of his person on the inside, where she's feeding him information on things that reporters are tracking down, or maybe if they're getting close to him, so he can, and at the same time, he's helping her get information that they can get to the public in ways that maybe he can't. So building that relationship with him in the city, but also still having the kind of building that network of people helping him out in the city, as Batman's been known to have throughout the years.
No, I think that's perfect, especially because she did absolutely nothing in the original movie but scream ridiculously.
Yeah, she does very little, which is a shame, because Kim Basinger is a very good actress, and it's a shame they didn't give her more to do, but it is what it is. And I'm even going to go take the step too. So Dennis Palladino is the one who plays Sal Maroni in that 2 seconds of footage in Batman Forever. You know what? He was acting. He was around at that time anyway, at the time of Batman Returns. So let's just go ahead and have him play Sal Maroni.
I think that's perfect. Yeah.
Let's have him in there to do it. And we're going to have, the big thing being, because we saw that where they dropped the bat signal down for the city to use at the end of '89's Batman. So I want to have a lot of moments of Harvey Dent and Batman on the rooftop. They're trying to take down Sal Maroni. But I want the relationship to be kind of tense. It hasn't been a fun 3 years. They aren't so much buddy as it is, Harvey Dent wants this info, and he wants him to get this thing, and Batman's like, look, I'm doing the best I can, but there's a lot of things happening in this city. There's a big power struggle going on. I can't be everywhere all at once. And we start to see a frustrated Harvey Dent starting to take things into his own hands and getting himself into trouble.
The long Halloween hadn't come out yet, bro. You can't. No. I can't steal the long Halloween just yet.
I'm not. It's a little bit of long Halloween, but are you sure that didn't come out yet?
No, long Halloween. Long Halloween is late '90s, mid '90s at best.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, damn. I thought it was early '90s.
But I will defend you in that Batman Year One does establish very much that Harvey Dent and Batman work together.
Yeah, I mean that's been a thing since the beginning of the time. But the reason I'm bringing this up though is because I'm wanting to keep Batman Forever where it is. So the movie itself is not going to be about Two-Face. It's going to end with Harvey Dent becoming Two-Face so that Batman Forever can still happen.
See, that's funny because I was actually going to ask you, are you inserting this between or just saying it's a completely new franchise? But I like that. I think that's really cool, especially because, I love Batman Forever.
Yeah, I'm inserting this in between. So I'm just trying to get us to where Batman Forever is still going to happen. So what I'm getting at, and yeah, I realize it does sound a lot like The Long Halloween, and I never really put the two and two together because I'm an idiot apparently. But what I'm really wanted to get at is I don't want there to necessarily be one overall big bad villain. I want this to be kind of more of a kind of like what we got with the Batman, which is more of a just focusing on Batman, where he's kind of his own worst enemy in some of this, is just trying to figure out a way now that he's actually being, for lack of a better word, accepted by Gotham City, is trying to actually make this work while trying to handle the mob fighting for power. And I want it to eventually lead up to where, there's this huge systematic corruption thing that they're following, that he's found out about. He knows there's an attempt on Harvey Dent's life coming at the trial. So now he's got to go in full Batman getup to fight his way through this courthouse to get into the trial room just in time to see what's going to happen with Harvey Dent. So that explains why was Batman in this courtroom, because he was fighting his way in there because he knew there was an attempt on Harvey Dent's life coming.
Yeah. And they didn't have cell phones back then, so he couldn't just text him.
Exactly. He's, he knows that everyone in this courthouse has been paid off. That's why when he's going through the courthouse, he's got people coming, he's got people taking swings at him because they're there to make sure that nobody can get in and interfere with what's going to happen. And he's able to get in there and just, basically make it to where he's able to partially save Harvey and that he doesn't die, but he still gets, maimed, and, at the end of the movie, he's going to wake up as Two-Face.
Oh, I think that's really cool, especially because you can do the slowly going through the low level guys to get to that guy to capture him. He goes trial, and then who knows when that attempt on Harvey's life happens, maybe he gets away. In Batman, the latter or the third act of the film is Batman tracing down or tracking down him again. And now while that's happening, you have Harvey Dent trying to figure out what he's going to do and if he's going to go crazy and all that kind of stuff. Because, he doesn't have the coin in the first Batman movie.
Right, yeah.
Even though he always had it in before that. So it'll be interesting to kind of, maybe that's like some, what's that called? Physical therapy thing he has to do.
Yeah, I really want to, because we see this a little bit in the animated series where it's, Harvey Dent in therapy. And with the big bad Harv personally. So I'd love to see Harvey Dent speaking with a therapist or a psychiatrist. I really want this to be it's a Batman mobster movie, kind of like what we got with the first season of Gotham, the first half of the first season of Gotham when it was good. And we can see that thing with Harvey Dent where he's goes to see us. He's having these problems, these mood swings, what have you. He's going to talk to a shrink. The coin flip could even be something as far as, well, no, that's straight out of The Long Halloween. I need to stop reading The Long Halloween. I was going to say, maybe they do a coin flip to decide how to handle something. That's literally what happens in The Long Halloween.
But no, that was Arkham Asylum. Now you're mixing your...
Are you sure? God, oh my God, there's so many. I read so much Batman. But anyway, yeah, you can easily write in a plot device for him to get the coin. It could be because we've talked about how he's been, having this anniversary. Maybe it's the anniversary of him being elected DA. It's a gift from his wife. This two-headed coin so that he can always have luck. Some kind of metaphor for that. But ultimately, I want this to be a mobster movie, a la like The Departed, where we're dealing with the mob and rats, and we're dealing with informants and corruption on the highest level. That ultimately leads to Harvey Dent being turned into Two-Face, which will then take us into Batman Forever.
Yeah, which I love because
I know you do.
Yeah, we
You're
keep
welcome.
that. Yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate you having love for my thing. Now, do we
course.
keep? Now, let me ask you this: do we keep the same suit, or do we update the suit like they did?
I'd like to see a little bit of an update on the suit. I like the suit for what it is. I wouldn't mind if they fixed the bat symbol because it looks a little funky with the feet. But it's hard to say for the time because it's I love the suit so much. It's so iconic. I don't know. I'm not a costume designer, so if they could come up with a anything that doesn't involve bat nipples is fine with me. Let's just go with that. Anything that doesn't involve bat nipples is fine. I like the Michael Keaton suit for what it is, so it doesn't bother me quite as much. And I know at one point there were talks of having Robin actually come in Batman Returns.
Yes.
I don't need that because A, I'm going to leave Batman Forever where it's at, and B, I think Robin is harder to pull off in a theatrical sense than people give it credit for. So I'm gonna let Batman Forever have Robin, but I'm not like, I like Robin as a character. I'm not one of the ones who needs to see him in a movie. So
yeah, I understand what you mean. My thing is to bring Dick Grayson in as Robin and not make it, wow, Bruce Wayne's a horrible person. It's got to be like a 2-film arc.
Yeah. I think Nightwing works better in a movie sense than Robin does, but it's hard to get Nightwing without Robin. So
yeah,
it's tricky. But yeah, as far as this one would go, as far as this sequel to 89 goes, I want it very mafia focused. I want it very corruption focused, and I want it really exploring the relationship between Batman and Harvey Dent, so that when we get those moments in Batman Forever, they feel a little bit heavier and they have more weight to them.
I think that makes a lot of sense. So, but no new cast, no new characters. You're just going to go with
I'm gonna keep it the same as it is, because honestly, for the most part, through these 4 Batman movies anyway, the only people who really change out are Harvey Dent and the love interest. The Commissioner stays the same. Alfred stays the same. I mean, the Batmans change, obviously, but this would give a much more dynamic sequel. Because with Batman Returns, Batman Returns, unfortunately, it gets a little goofy at times.
It's goofy and it's overstuffed, and it's one of those. I think it happens with a lot of these movies. Is that the first movie is as comic book as the director is able to make it.
Yeah.
And then the second movie becomes theirs. You see that with this. You see that with like Hellboy, where the first Hellboy movie is just steeped in the comic, and the second one you're like, oh no, this is a Del Toro film now. Like we've just completely gone away. And I think that's what happens with Batman Returns. Is now Tim Burton is like, oh, I got to make sure this is all creepy. So you get that, in my opinion, horrible rendition of Penguin that makes zero sense.
Well, speaking of Penguin, I do have some world building I want to do with this movie.
Do it.
I do want to introduce the character of Oswald Cobblepot, but not necessarily Batman, because the stuff that's gonna happen with Harvey Dent is really, I mean, it's gonna lead to Maroni's downfall, obviously.
Yeah.
But I would like to have, because there's still this power void in Gotham City, is have a potential, crime leader coming in to fill the gaps or whatever. And I kind of want to have it be Oswald Cobblepot, not the Penguin as we know him yet, but just as this kind of, this British sort of Cockney, short, stout guy. And I actually wanted to bring in Bob Hoskins to do that.
I think that would be cool, especially once you said Cockney and Stocky. I was like, I wonder if he's going to bring him in. But no, I think that would be cool, because
Bob Hoskins was one of the people originally considered for the role of Penguin in Batman Returns. They originally offered it to Dustin Hoffman, which is weird when you think about it.
That's kind of
odd. Some of the names that they had for Penguin for Batman Returns were crazy, like Dean Martin, Christopher Lee, Alan Rickman was in there, Phil Collins was in there.
Okay.
A lot of weird names, but Bob Hoskins was one of them. And I think Bob Hoskins there's a movie with Jet Li that I am
Unleashed.
Unleashed, thank you, where he plays kind of this Cockney British mafioso type, and it's like, you know what, that gives me Penguin vibes. And I think for the kind of story we're telling here, I think Bob Hoskins would crush it as a kind of early in his time as a crime lord, Oswald Cobblepot.
No, and I think what would be interesting is if he somehow gets taken down in this movie, gets sent to jail. While he's in jail, he gets in some fight that deforms him, and you get him back in the fourth movie as the Penguin because of whatever happened to him in jail.
Yeah, again, I'm trying to do some world building here. I think as much as I love Batman 89 and kind of the world of these four movies always feels so small. It feels so claustrophobic and contained. And it's like there's a lot of stuff you can do. Like it feels like Gotham's like 3 streets wide. It feels like Gotham is such a small city.
Gotham's a small city, and I think it's kind of this is one of those things where, in my opinion, is like, they had no concept of a franchise. I don't think they thought for a million years that first movie was going to do what it did.
No, it was a gamble.
So now it's like then it's just like, yeah. And then Tim Burton probably out of just, spite did not continue anything.
More or less. So. Yeah. Well, the problem with Batman Returns is Batman 89 was Tim Burton making a movie, but they were still pulling the reins on him a little bit. Batman Returns is what happens when you let Tim Burton play in his own sandbox without supervision.
Yeah.
When Tim Burton is left alone to his own devices, you're either going to get something fantastic or something that is kind of a goofy hot mess. And that's kind of what happened with Batman Returns. And when you look at what he was looking to do with Superman at one point too, again, kind of the same thing. They were leaving him to his own devices, and everything about that movie sounds like it was going to be an interesting watch, but a just complete fiasco of a mess of a movie. So this is a way to just kind of keep it grounded, keep it, not so much grounded, but just keep it contained, but still build the world around it while still having a small enough story that we can just kind of enjoy these characters.
Yes. Totally. Yes.
And bring Tim Burton back, but just hold the leash on him. Don't let him off the leash.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get Batman Returns. But yeah. I think it would be fun. And again, it still lets the rest of it still lets Batman forever live, which I don't think is as bad as people make it out to be. I think it's just kind of guilty by association with Batman and Robin. And then this leaves you room to then eventually at some point get rid of Batman and Robin and put something else in there. So,
well, and I even would say, given how dark a turn Returns goes, for them to bring it back out of that for forever is a bit jarring. Like the tone is just so completely different. So if you don't go quite that dark, like what you're talking about, it's not as jarring to kind of switch to what happens in Forever.
Oh yeah, because in Batman Returns, Penguin straight up bites a dude's nose off. It's a dark movie. Within the first 20 minutes, Catwoman gets thrown out of a window. You have a supermodel thrown off the top of a building. We have children being kidnapped out of their beds. We've got Danny DeVito bleeding from the mouth. I mean, it's a dark movie.
Penguin, don't you think that's a little blam? No, I think it's a lot.
And then whatever the hell Christopher Walken's doing in that movie. Christopher Walken is the one thing in Batman Returns that is he is the most Tim Burton thing in that movie. It's like Tim Burton sneezed on Christopher Walken and he turned into that. That is just I don't know what Christopher Walken was doing. I don't know what was going on with that in that movie, but the less spoken about that, the better.
Completely agree. But I hope that deck he built with that money looked really cool.
Sure. Sure. But yeah, and I'm also going to leave the title the same. We can still call it Batman Returns because that's kind of what it is. Because it's Batman returning to what he was sought out to do, which is clean up the city, and he's trying. But after 3 years, he's realizing he is maybe bitten off more than he can chew.
Yeah, definitely.
Plus, it just kind of it was the 90s, so Batman Returns just kind of, it's a 90s title. It works.
It fits perfectly. I don't see a problem with it.
So
right,
I'm sure lots of people got problems with everything I have just said in the last 30 minutes. So, let me have it. I don't care.
I don't.
You're the only person whose opinion I care about.
There you go. The only thing that makes me sad is missing Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman, but
I know, but
we can put her somewhere.
I love Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. I want to be clear, but again, the portrayal, while it was amazing, was so Tim Burton-y.
Yes,
that just for what I want to do, it wouldn't work. And I even considered, I was like, I wonder if I could get the Sean Young Catwoman. No, let's not even go there. Let's not even go there. That's if Google that story, kids. That's a fun story.
Oh, that was insanity. But
yeah.
All right, brother. Well, if you got anything, unless you got something else, I think we could close this on the new redo of Batman Returns, telling the story of Batman and Harvey Dent taking out crime lords, and unfortunately ending with him becoming Two-Face.
Absolutely. And I want to know what you guys think, so hit me up on Twitter. You can find me on there at Mr. Mike Shea.
You can find me there at Mr. J Ninja.
And until next time, we'll be back with another episode of We Are the Batman. Same Bat Podcast, same Bat Podcast channel.
Till next time, guys.
Bye.